hardware store.
Well, welcome to another edition of Syracuse Bowls. I'm Steve Schnall, sitting in for Roger Springfield. And we have another good show, just one bowler who has never been on the show before, and let us now meet all the bowlers for today's matches. First of all, in our first match, PACC, Bob Hires. He's out of Syracuse, and there you get a look at him. He will be going against Henry Rivers, also from Syracuse. And in our second match, representing Fairmont, Dave Sessler. And he will be going against Sharon Ervay, who is making her first appearance on Syracuse Bowls. And now we bring in our attorney director, Red Parton. Oh, before we take a look at, no, we got to look at Don Brush first. There's Don, he's the king of the hill. Oh my, way to start. There's Red.
Hi, Steve.
Red, you were going to be the king of the hill, but Don, who's making his second appearance, is actually the king of the hill.
Everything's back to normal. No problem.
Well, you know, everybody has their day to make a mistake, and I made it with Don. But he's good. He's a good bowler, and we'll see him in our third match.
That's right, and he's been the king of the hill for a couple of weeks. He's put together about $1,300. He seems to like it here very much. One of the interesting things, I think, probably this week, Steve, we had Frank Lusk in one of our qualifying matches last Sunday at Fairmont, rolled a 300 game, so that's the first 300 that we have had in Syracuse Bowls this season. But in the next match after he rolled the 300 game, he bowled against Sharon Ervay. And Sharon eliminated Frank. Frank went out the building talking in quite a bit of gibberish. But Sharon is here, and she's ready to take the measure of our king of the hill, and along with the other fellows here tonight. Also, Dave Sessler being here with us tonight, he happens to be the uncle of Bill Sessler, and Bill was our leading money winner on the program last year. Many times when Bill was bowling, I referred to him as Dave. So I have promised Bill that when Dave is bowling tonight, perhaps we'll call Dave Bill, but everything will work out all right, I'm sure.
And I'll refer to you as Don Brush instead of Red Parton, all right? And we also, of course, have the True Value gift certificates and the Strike Jackpot money. We'll have our first match right after this. Number 2, this is Dave Sessler. Down the lane nicely, Brooklyn side. He's got himself a strike.
Well, Dave kind of figured that he would be bowling 2 different lines today. He mentioned that it would be more or less what he used there, the inside line on lane 1, more of an outside line on lane 2, as Sharon Ervay comes up.
Broken side for her as well, and she leaves herself a very tough spare to make.
Dave was mentioning something that I hadn't recalled. The last time that he was on the program on singles, he bowled against Jan Woods, who reigned as Queen of the Hill. And so he has the feeling that when he wins, that he finds himself pitted against very capable lady bowlers. He did team up with his nephew, Bill, and they appeared on the program last season on one of the Syracuse Bowls doubles.
Well, Dave has a 10-pin handicap, and Sharon receiving 26 pins.
Now there's the line that Sharon normally uses, 3/4 of the way back from the right side, a little loft to the ball, 10th board, second rangefinder. And as she did the last time up, she crosses over, but this time they all get on. Yes, the maximum handicap for women on our program is 30 pins. The maximum handicap for men is 20.
Well, Dave now with a double and looking for strike jackpot money.
Right, as we mentioned over there, Dave was coming more or less from the right side, using an outside line. Now, the ball that he rolled previously with a strike on lane 1, starting from the center, releasing at about the 15th board, third rangefinder is what he's shooting for. And he was a board or so inside.
Well, Syracuse Bowls roll-offs are conducted every Sunday at PACC at 10:30 in the morning, followed by a special squad at noon. Fairmont Bowling Center roll-offs are at 7 p.m. today, with the special squad following at 8 p.m. Well, Sharon now looking for a double. And here's an invitation for lady bowlers to join Syracuse Bowls competition. Maximum women's handicap 30 pins per game. Join the fun of Syracuse Bowls and show your stuff on TV. Which Sharon is doing right now, and she leaves the 10.
Well, she has not been able to keep her ball over there into the 1-3 pocket so far. During the week, these are the two representatives of Fairmount Bowling Center. $50 to the winner, $30 to the runner-up. Sharon, during the week, her average was 177. Dave Sessler, a 196.
And again, their score to beat is 230, which is going to be tough for either one.
Yes, they both have to put together some multiple strikes. And you just can't wait too much beyond the third frame in order to start.
Nice ball. Nope.
Well, staying to the right side of the head pin for the first time.
It probably, you can't help but making it added pressure when you know you got a 230 to beat if you press a little bit.
Well, you know, we've always said that, and I'm sure that that is a very dominant factor. But whenever we talk about that, Steve, we have to go back to a show about 3 months ago when Ed Chomko had a 278 in the first game. And then in the next game, it was a 279 by Mike Randisi. And that kind of at least disrupted that theory a little bit. Well, Dave Sessler has the lead now as he leads by half a mark.
A wiggling strike.
Yeah, kind of a full hit.
With 7 finally going over.
Well, Dave's had strikes in 3 out of 4 frames.
Yes, he's rolling well.
Well, he's on target.
Yes, he is.
For the 230 game. As a matter of fact, if he can get a triple here now, his next time up, he will be ahead of the pace to beat the Henry Rivers score.
Sharon looks on at her 610.
But also in going through now and looking at Dave Sessler's score, he's going to have multiple strikes at least once more. If he should go spare strike for the rest of this game, he would fall short by a couple of pins. So to stay on target, he's going to need a strike here in the 6th, or if he doesn't get it, he's going to have to come up with another 2-bagger somewhere along the line. By the way, Steve, we should be welcoming back John Morello. Hasn't been with us for the last couple of weeks. Back scoring with us again today.
Oh, off the wall strike.
Well, Sharon, after a first frame open, has come back for marks in each frame since.
Sometimes it doesn't have to be all skill as it comes off the wall and gets a cluster.
Well, something like that, you have to do something to get some action on the ball. There's, whoops. Okay, as you mentioned, that could have been one. Had Dave gotten that one and then stayed clean the rest of the way, he could have topped the pace of 230 set in the opening game by our first game winner. But now he's going to have to pick this up and come back with at least a 2-bagger somewhere along the line.
Well, no question, Dave Sessler in a continuous fight to try and catch Henry Rivers.
Yes, there, as you look at the scores that John Morello has posted and see that 20 pins a frame would leave Dave Sessler with a 226. Okay, he's had 2 in a row, a spare, 2 in a row, a spare, and with another strike.
Now, if he keeps up that pace...
But he needs a strike here.
Okay.
In his next frame. If he doesn't get one when he comes up in the 8th, that would mean he would have to get strikes in the 9th and the 10th.
Right, but the double strike spare would...
Double strike spare would get him in, yes.
Perfect.
Yes, going that way, he could wind up with a 235. If he does not do that, his best score would be a 226. Well, Sharon pulls the ball to the left side. A word on Sharon Ervay. She was the 13th qualifier. She defeated Larry Madlin, 229 to 188. Then, in her next match against Cow Williams, she wins at 198 to 194. And then went against Frank Lusk. Lusk had just rolled a 300 game to defeat Mark Sabatino of Auburn. But Sharon disposed of Frank. And Frank could follow his 300 with only a 160, and Sharon had a 217.
It's a funny game. You have 300 and follow it up with a 160.
Frank will be on hand for the... He will be receiving a watch from us in another few weeks. Well, here is almost a must ball for Dave Sessler. And if he follows his pattern, he'll get a strike here.
Well, the pattern doesn't hold as he leaves the 10.
All right, now let's see what he has to do. If he picks this one up, he will have 166 in the 7th. And that would not be enough unless... And then he would need strikes in the 9th and the 10th. So he's not out of it. It's been a great try, regardless of how it does come out.
But he certainly needs one here.
Well, actually, what he can do, he can either get one on the 9th or 10th, or if he gets a mark in the 9th, he can then get his first 2 in the 10th frame. But somewhere along the line in these last 2 frames, he needs at least a double, and he knows it.
And he does not need that.
Well, no, this is, of course, one of the simpler splits, but it's nothing conceded ever. Now, he has to pick up this. Has to have it. If he gets this, 2 strikes in a row in the 10th frame, he can go to the final game. Let's see if he does it. Pretty shot.
He's got it.
He's still in the chase. Very nice job by Dave Sessler. And Dave is going to earn himself a True Value Hardware gift certificate in this game, too.
Sharon has had 2 opens, 2 strikes, and 4 spares.
We talked about our True Value Hardware gift certificates. A scratch score of 200 wins one for $25, and if the scratch score reaches 250, then that gift certificate increases to $100.
Well, Sharon will wind up on 1, and then Dave Sessler will have his work cut out for him in 10 to beat a score of 230.
Well, Sharon can topple the 200, but of course that would be including handicap, so she would not be in line for... Well, Dave Sessler, if he should get a good fill and a spare, that would still leave him with a maximum of about a 220-something. If he gets the first one in the 10th, he could go as high as a 234. And as we mentioned so many times in our program here, most of our matches do get on to the last frame, and so many times it's really up to that final ball, and that's occurring in this game today.
That's the way it should be. And Dave Sessler certainly hopes that's the way it is.
Let me tell you, whoever goes against Don Brush, he's been a very tough king of the hill. Sharon with an actual score of 163 and with handicap of 189. Sessler needs it to have a chance of winning. He's still in there. Well, he responded very well to the pressure with his first ball. Well, now what does he need? He needs a strike. As we look at that one again, right in the pocket. He needs a strike, and then he needs a 7-pin pickup for a 231.
The deep breath, he knows this is his biggest ball so far of the match.
Got it.
Well, you know, you got to really pat a bowler on the back. We've seen a lot of bowlers come through in the 10th frame to do it. Now, of course, you just don't want to see him blow this ball. He still needs 7 pins in order to topple that first game score. The 230 that was rolled by Henry Rivers. 6 to tie. He did it.
He has beaten the score, and what a valiant way to do it. Charging throughout the match, he gets a 233 and advances into the King of the Hill match against Don Brush. A super, super game for Dave Sessler. And we will talk to the bowlers right after this. Well, it was a great game by Dave Sessler as he came up with a 233. And Sharon, you were talking in the break that this was not the greatest experience. Were you a little nervous?
A little.
Or is that putting it mildly?
It's a new experience, bowling against men.
Yes, that did put on some added pressure. Huh?
Yeah, it did. I'm getting better. I'm getting farther. I'll be better next time.
All right. Now, Dave, you were battling all the way. When you saw 230 to beat, did you actually think you'd be able to do it?
I was hoping. I just thought if I just bowl my own game, not worry about the score, worry about her, because the first time I ever made the show, I bowled against a woman and she whipped me, so I figured I better do a little bit better this time.
Well, it was certainly good enough, and you now go in the King of the Hill match against Don Brush, and we'll see that right after this.